And this checkpoint is very crucial because in this checkpoint it checks for whether the cell is of appropriate size and ready for the cell division or not. If the cell is not ready for cell division, then this checkpoint will prevent the cell to move from G1 phase to the S phase. It checks for the DNA, it checks for the DNA damage, obviously, DNA damage, because DNA damage is the most alarming condition for the cell in terms of cell division. So if there is any sort of DNA damage, it needs to be fixed right away. Alright, so that is the job of the G1 checkpoint, to check whether the cell is of adequate size, it has the proper volume for the cell division to progress or not, and whether there is any DNA damage or not. The second one is known as the G2 checkpoint. Okay, so what is the role of G2 checkpoint again? G2 checkpoint is somewhere here, right after G2, so I'll write here, it is the G2 checkpoint. What this G2 checkpoint does, right here actually, G2 checkpoint, between S and G2, right after the S phase or synthesis phase. What is the job of G2 checkpoint? G2 checkpoint checks for again DNA damage. DNA damage. If there is any sort of DNA damage, the G2 checkpoint will prevent the cell to move from the S phase to the M phase. And one more important thing that this G2 checkpoint does is also check for any inappropriate DNA synthesis. That means in DNA replication process, sometimes what happens? Addition of erroneous nucleotides. If there is addition of erroneous nucleotide or mispairing or anything like that happens, and if the DNA replication is not properly done, then that is checked by this G2 checkpoint, and G2 checkpoint will prevent the cell to move from the S phase to the M phase, because M phase is the phase where that DNA will be separated, segregated into two daughter cells. So if that problem is there in the mother cell, from one mother cell, the same problem can be spread across the daughter cells and it can magnify. To prevent that, this checkpoint is very necessary. So any sort of what I can say, the replication error, any sort of replication error is checked here. After that, what else we have? We have the end or the last checkpoint, that is in the M phase. This is where we have this last checkpoint, and this checkpoint is known as the mitotic checkpoint. This is right in the M phase, right on the M phase. Mitotic checkpoint means in the M phase we have different phases.